everybody and welcome to my channel. So today I'll be talking about neutral palettes, and you can see by my makeup that I am a very colorful person and I love using colorful makeup. But for a long time, for several years, I was really into neutral looks. And I do understand that a lot of you guys out there do not really necessarily prefer wearing this type of look, at least for every day, and you might be looking for a really good neutral palette. But there's so many neutral palettes on the market right now, and it gets kind of overwhelming when you're trying to find a good one that fits your lifestyle and that fits your needs, because they have so many neutral palettes and many of them look really amazing, and people always are saying that, oh yeah, this is a beautiful palette, you have to get this palette, or this is a beautiful palette, you have to get this palette. So I guess the question is, what palette is the best palette? What palette is the best value for your money? Well, in this video, I'll be showing you 5 different, very versatile eyeshadow palettes that are all neutral palettes, in my opinion. They're all neutral palettes that I think are really high quality, that have a really great value for your money. And these range from literally several dollars to like 50. So there's a pretty good range if you are interested in that. I do have some drugstore and I have some high end. So if you want to see my top 5 most versatile neutral palettes that I would recommend to you guys, then of course keep on watching. So I'm going to go from the most inexpensive to the most expensive, I think. Anyway, so let's start off with the most cost efficient palette that I have to share with you. This is one of my favorite go-to neutral palettes, and it looks like a pretty basic palette. This is from Wet n Wild, and I mean the palette is completely cracked because I have been using this puppy so much that I accidentally sat on it and I cracked it. I have my life together. But anyway, this is a palette with 10 colors, and I love this palette so much because not only is the formula pigmented, it's blendable, but you can literally use this palette for any look that you want to create, so long as it's a neutral look, of course. You can create a pretty basic look using just a few of these champagne-y colors, as well as maybe like one of the transition colors, and you can easily pump this look up from day to night using this like black or this burgundy or even this like dark shimmery brown color. I especially love the darker mattes in this palette because they're so high quality. They really are amazing. I have used this black many times to just really smoke up my look, and I actually walked into Sephora once and a girl like that was working there, she said, "I love your eyeshadow, it looks so beautiful." And I was like, "Thank you." And she was asking me what I was using, and I pretty much used a $5 palette from the drugstore to create a look that a Sephora employee complimented, because you guys know that Sephora can get pretty expensive. So if someone that is working there is complimenting my eyeshadow that was like $5 from the drugstore, I'm living my best life, and this is an amazing palette. So if you're looking for a very versatile palette that you can take from day to night, that you can literally use every single day of your life, this is a great option. It's from the drugstore. The quality is like this. It is amazing. So this next palette is from Huda Beauty, and this is like a 9-pan eyeshadow palette. It's called Smokey Obsessions. They have a whole bunch of these different palettes in different colors, and this is my top recommendation. I haven't tried the other ones, I've swatched them, but this color story is amazing for me. I took this palette to Ukraine, and this was pretty much the only eyeshadow that I took, and it was perfect for me. Like, this is such a beautiful palette. You have some mattes, by the way. You have these 2 mattes right here, which I tend to mix or just like use together, and then you have this transition color, and then you have this black, which is of course amazing, and then like these colors are metallics. This metallic silver, oh my goodness, it is so good. It is such a beautiful foiled eyeshadow. It's definitely one of my top silvery eyeshadows. It is so incredibly beautiful. This gold, by the way, also wonderful, and these are great highlight colors for your inner corner, so if you want that, you have it in this palette. This palette has been used by so many makeup artists. I know Chiara Ferragni, I'm not sure if I pronounced the name right, I think I did, but anyway, her makeup artist uses this on her quite often, and he's really good at his job. She looks fantastic, and this palette is just so pigmented, so blendable. It's just so incredibly beautiful, and I especially love it. And the reason I'm putting this in this video is because not only is the quality up there, the color versatility is also really great because you can get this palette and you can literally use it for anything you want. You can use one of these light colors for like a day look, and you can really pump this up for a dramatic eye look. I have used this color for a smoky eye and it's really, really beautiful. This is also a really pigmented color. This is a really pigmented color. This is one of those palettes that you just use and it's just a really beautiful wow factor because this palette will give you some beautiful, amazing looks. And it's like $27, which for me is a really, really fair price when it comes to like a really good quality palette such as this, because you can get like a $5 palette like from Wet n Wild, and the mattes in here are absolutely beautiful. I do think that the mattes in these palettes are really quite similar, but the shimmers in this palette and the metallics are definitely better than in this palette, and that's just because this is a $4.99 palette from the drugstore, right? So I'm just really amazed at this quality, and I really do think that if you're looking for something that's a little bit of a step up from this, but you want the good mattes and you want like the really phenomenal metallics, this is a really good palette to choose because yeah, these are both amazing palettes, but the metallics in this palette are a lot better than in this palette. I mean, you get what you pay for, honestly. So next I want to talk about the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, and I know that a lot of people like to consider this a very colorful palette. My personal opinion is that this is a mostly neutral palette with several pops of color because I have two drawers in my makeup collection. I have one drawer for neutral palettes and then the other one for colorful palettes, and I keep this in the neutral palette drawer because I mean these colors are colors I consider to be neutrals. I mean, you have some pops of color such as in this area over here, but most of the colors in here are really beautiful neutrals, and I definitely think that this is a super versatile eyeshadow palette because if you're someone that has neutral palettes already, you don't see yourself needing like a palette like this or a palette like this, then this is an amazing palette to get because you have so much versatility in this palette. I created this look using mostly colors from this palette right here, and these colors are so incredibly pigmented, really soft, really blendable, and you can create some really beautiful looks with this palette. And I definitely think that if you're looking for a good versatile palette, this is one to choose because the colors in this palette are phenomenal. And if you want to venture into some colorful makeup, you can use these colors right here. But I do think that this palette is mostly dominated by neutral colors, which in my opinion makes it a pretty versatile neutral palette. So if you're looking for a really versatile neutral palette, this is one to try. I definitely think that this is the most versatile neutral palette in this entire video because you really have such a big shade range. If you're into neutrals but you still want to try a little bit of color, this is a good palette to choose from. Also, the neutrals in this palette range from like some really beautiful highlighting shades to some really beautiful warm shades. You have like some deeper plummy tones, then you have like some really beautiful really rich dark colors right here. So this is a pretty versatile palette. Highly recommend it. I use it all the time. So moving on, I have an oldie but a goodie. This is the Lorac Pro, and I love this palette so much. This palette has 16 colors, and the top row is exclusively mattes, and then the bottom row is shimmers and metallics. Now, if you're looking for a good, like higher end, versatile neutral palette, this is a great one because you have your neutrals, you have your mattes, and you also have a fantastic shade range. You have the very light colors right over here and right over here, and then you have them moving into like beautiful like darker colors that you can use to smoke out your eye look, that you can use for night looks, and every shade in this palette is just so incredibly beautiful. And you have your basic neutral colors, but then again you have like some really unique looking colors such as slate, which is such a beautiful like dark gray color, or garnet, which is such a beautiful like reddish brown, and you have like this beautiful metallic gold, which is really great for the center of your eyelid. It's just a really nice palette. I used to use this all the freaking time and I love this palette, but now I really don't use it that much because I really love like really like colorful makeup looks, you know. So this palette is kind of like, I use it every now and then, but when I was really into neutrals, I used it all the time and I loved it. I loved it so much that I, again, oh my goodness, this is so embarrassing. I sat on this palette and I broke the mirror. I feel like the palettes that I really like, I just sit on, you know? But yeah, this is a really nice option. I don't really hear people talk about this palette that much anymore, and I think that's kind of sad because the formula in here is really good. I think it's amazing. If you're looking for a good Lorac palette, if you're looking for a good neutral palette that's really versatile, this, in my opinion, is the best one that they have, because it's just, the color story is really, really great because it's really versatile. It's a really nice value for your money, and the quality is really amazing as well. Last but not least, I have a palette that I really like. This is the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Palette. And this is the old packaging. They have updated it, but I got mine like a while ago, and this is so beat up. It is unbelievable. And like even the colors on the back, like you can't even see most of them because this palette has gotten so much use. But this is a selection of neutral matte shades. And I have said before that if you already have several eyeshadow palettes in your collection, you don't need to get this palette, because really, I mean, there's nothing really special about this palette when you compare it to other palettes on the market right now. When this palette came out, it was such a big deal because this was the first time that a brand had launched such like a varied selection of basic matte shades. And that's what makes this palette so versatile, because you have your neutrals, you have your warms, you have your cool tones, and you can create any look you want using this palette. I mean, you do have to go into other palettes for shimmer and metallic colors if you want them, but if you're looking for an all-around amazing matte palette, this is a great option because the colors are pigmented. They blend really well and they look phenomenal on the eyes. But then again, I do want to say that if you have several palettes in your collection that are neutrals, you probably don't need this because you probably already have most of the shades, if not all of them, in your collection already. But I'm just recommending this palette to someone that has a little bit more money to spend, that doesn't have a really big makeup collection, but still wants to get a super versatile palette that they can use and that they can love. So anyway, that is pretty much the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this one. These are all amazing quality palettes that I consider to be super versatile. So if you were looking for like a good neutral palette that is super versatile, that is a great value for your money, that is great quality, I hope you found it in this video. I mean, like I said, I do use a lot of colors in my makeup routine right now, but if I ever want to create a beautiful like neutral eye, if I have like an occasion to go to where I don't necessarily want to come like wearing a really colorful eyeshadow look, I reach for one of these palettes. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.